Now we're just wondering who all's listening. We don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know. So this one, we're going to try to put it on YouTube here. We're recording. We'll see how this pans out. I think it'll be good. But we got our coffee. Today is a very interesting day. It's Valentine's Day, first of all.
Oh, yeah. It's Valentine's Day.
Yep.
It is snowing heavily here in Texas.
Enough so that like church got canceled. I was supposed to not be here right now.
School has been canceled for the week.
Yep.
For Granbury ISD.
Yeah.
And I remember one time it was Valentine's Day in 8th grade and it snowed, or it like iced over, and we built a snowman. And then I remember me and my sister and my friend Yannicka, we had the video camera, and we made videos of just us doing really silly things. I wish I still had those videos though, because they were so funny.
That's awesome. It's supposed to be 1 degree tomorrow. I've never been a part of 1 degree. I don't know what that means. In Texas.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then guess what? Because it's Texas, it's supposed to be 65.
Yes.
A week from now. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous.
That's Texas, and everyone is all going to get sick again. And
probably so.
All the fun stuff that comes with that. But,
speaking of getting sick.
Oh yeah.
Since the last time we recorded one of these, we had the COVIDs.
We had COVID. And it was not fun.
It wasn't fun. It was one of those. How'd you feel? So day one, what'd you feel like? Keep going.
Okay, day one, I felt like, sinusy, throat was hurting, coughing, fever.
Yeah.
And then day 2,
Went and got tested.
Fever, all that same stuff. And then it just started to feel like a really bad sinus infection. My headaches were really bad. And then it was like the sharp pains I was feeling in weird spots. And then the loss of smell and taste.
Yeah, back, by the way?
Yeah, I can smell again.
Nice.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Yeah, mine was a little more like a cold, just a bad cold. Her day 2 was my day 1, which was good that we got it at the same time.
Yep.
So quarantine party, and had to. I was fine. I mean, I was kind of just like, oh, it'll feel good. And then day 7, I was like, no, I got the man flus. I'm dying.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep. But let's tell everybody what happened.
Okay, you go for it. What happened during the COVIDs?
So we got engaged.
Yeah, we did.
Random, but we were on the couch and Eric pretended to, like, he was proposing to me right there and then, and I kind of freaked out, but he did it just to test the waters to see what would happen. And then he walked off into the kitchen and did something. What were you doing? Grabbing the ring?
No, I actually had it in my pocket already.
So he walked into the kitchen and then came back into the living room, and at that point I had laid down on the couch, and he got down on his knee and was like, babe, I have to ask you something. And was that when you faked it, or did
I faked it first? Then I walked away, and then I walked back.
Then he walked back, and then he showed me he actually had the ring, and I was like, oh my gosh, what? Oh my gosh! And the ring is. We can
put it on YouTube. We can edit.
It is.
We'll show you.
Amazing.
Thanks, babe.
Exactly what I wanted, and yeah, it was pretty. It was good because I didn't want it to be a big deal. I didn't want to be like, around a bunch of people. I'm not really one of those that, well, sometimes I'm not one of those that last night doesn't count.
We'll get there.
But I wanted it very low key and private, and it was. Yeah.
So just to be clear, I'm not like lame because I just was like, oh, we got sick, let's get engaged. She really wanted like the down, low key, chill, and we knew we were going to be at the house for the next 10 to 14 days. So we were like, hey, let's at least make this memorable. We'll always remember COVID as both not fun and good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was fun. And then we were like, well, how long are we going to wait to get married?
And are we going to do the wedding? Are we going to, and we had kind of already talked about not, so we're actually about to buy a house, and we didn't want to, because this is our second marriage and everything, we didn't feel that spending money on a big wedding was just, I don't know.
It's not a wise investment.
It's not, and I've never even had a wedding. I've never walked down the aisle in a dress ever.
Here's how I look at it. Now, because we're in the real estate investing game. That's what we're going to continue to do, and so now knowing what it takes to do real estate investing and how much a wedding cost, it's one of those things you just got to weigh. Like, is the wedding the actual like 1 day event that I don't know what the average is. We should look it up here in a second. Whatever the average wedding cost in 2021 or 20, I don't know if many weddings have happened yet, but I'm sure it is no cheap venture. My guess is going to be $40,000.
Let's see. I think probably, yeah. 24.
24. Still $24,000.
That's a lot, though. That's
if you know what you're doing in real estate investing, that's more than a down payment for sure to be able to get a new home. So anyway, it's one of those things that we decided, let's not spend it on that, and let's maybe spend money on
a ring
and
a really nice ring.
Yeah, and fixing up the house that we're going to buy. So anyway, back to your story. We're buying a house.
So we're getting a house, and so it was important that we were married before we moved in together. And the purity thing, all the sex before marriage. Should we talk about that?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Go for it. Wherever you want to go with
it.
I'll follow you.
I'm just gonna tell the cold hard truth.
Tell the cold hard truth. That's what we're here for.
So we actually did have sex before.
Oh, don't tell them that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Too late. We did, and then like it happened maybe 3 times, I think, and every time it was like one of us would feel very convicted, and so the last time that it was brought up, I think it was
2 months ago,
like November.
Yeah.
And I remember Eric felt super guilty, and I said, okay, well, if like, because I was, I didn't want to feel guilty, and I didn't want him to feel guilty, so I just said, this will be the last time. Like, we're not going to have this discussion ever again. And I felt that it was really better to not do anything at all. Just because I feel like in the Bible it talks about being a virgin, but I know a lot of people like to get all the way up to that point but basically I don't know. I just felt I'm kind of an all or nothing type person.
Yeah, it's going off the scripture of if you even look at a woman lustfully, you've already committed adultery in your heart. That whole thing. Yeah. And
so I just said I just don't think we should even get close. So we also had told our kids. I mean, we want to set the right example for our kids, and so moving in together. We wanted to be married when we did that because we would be in the same bed, obviously, and. So that's kind of where we're at, and how this all. So, I guess that now we can talk about that we are married.
Oh yeah, we want to tell them that too. So we'll go back to the house in here in a minute, but let's go to the marriage. So so we decided that we might as well go ahead and get married now. There's really nothing to wait on. Different people have different opinions on. Is there? I think this question got brought. Up. Like, is there one person for everyone? Like did God make this person for this person? And that question was asked to me, and I think I used to would have said, well, yeah, of course. And then what happened, and both of us are from divorces, and so then it was just like, well, I think it's more of a like, who are you willing to sacrifice for the rest of your life for? Like, who are you willing to spend that time with and learn them and learn what their desires and their dreams are and their heart is. And then from there, is that person the person you want to be with forever? And then if so, then okay, there you go. So for us, it was like, well, we know that. I think we're there. So what's the only reason we would wait for a longer period of time would be to satisfy other people's opinions. And I've tried to do that my whole life, and that didn't go well.
Didn't work out for you, did it?
No,
No.
it didn't work out at all.
Yep. So that's where we're at. We're married now.
Well, let's talk about
Okay.
the wedding.
The wedding. The wedding was.
We were going to go to the JP,
Mm-hmm.
and that's already like one of those like, well, let's just go down to the JP and get married. We one up that. I called my friend Paul. Paul is a lawyer and also a municipal judge.
Mm-hmm.
And he had mentioned that he had done weddings before, and I was like, well, hey, old Paul could do our wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so called Paul. I was like, hey, man, could you do our wedding? He said he had done some at his office before. And so I was like, okay, cool. He's got a pretty cool office. Let's just go down there and do it. It'd be great on a Friday at 4 o'clock. Oh, we got our marriage license. You have to wait 72 hours.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a U.S. thing or a state thing, but anyway, you have to wait 72 hours after your marriage license to get married. So we got our marriage license, waited almost exactly 72 hours. But then Paul said, hey, instead of doing it in my office, why don't you meet me at the Hood County News?
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know what that is, the Hood County News is the newspaper here in town that Paul bought a few months ago, maybe?
I think they said 6 months ago.
Okay, yeah. And so he said, don't worry about a witness or anything. I got you covered. So we're
Yep.
like, okay, we'll show up to the Hood County News. And we walk in. What's the first thing you thought when you walked in?
Wolf of Wall Street.
The
way it's set up.
It literally looked just like it.
There's like the cubicles, but then there's also just the desks that are kind of in rows. Like,
Yep.
So yeah, that was my first, or The Office, but not so much like The Office. But then, said witness made us a comment
Said witness, yep.
about the dancing ladies.
Yep.
And then that's when I thought, oh my gosh, Wolf of Wall Street.
I know. Same thing.
So
we had our witness. We had old Paul, and Paul did a great job. Those were some good words.
that was really good. It was very intimate and sweet, and I had to look Eric in the eyes for way longer than I was comfortable.
That was awesome.
I'm so awkward. I'm just awkward at,
Did you see me tear up a little bit?
yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew you would,
Okay.
but I don't know. I'm just not good at those sentimental moments.
You did great. I was proud of you. I knew that's the whole looking in the eye thing.
Oh.
That was getting you.
You were the first person that ever called me out on that issue that I have.
I did.
I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, like when you read about like sociopaths and psychopaths, that they have a hard time looking people in the eye. And I'm
Yep.
like, is that me? Am I a sociopath?
No, just in those moments, just kind of.
Yeah, I just have the tendencies of a sociopath. That's all.
There you go.
But don't we all?
So we got married and walked out and went and got sushi. It was great.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
It was good. Good times.
So anyway, back to the house. So now that we're married, we have gone through this process with it. Let's talk about this house process. What have you? Has this been your first house to buy?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
this is Autumn's first go. I don't know, fourth or fifth with the properties and stuff, and so it is quite the process when you're self-employed. So I'm self-employed, and Autumn has a job, but it's still all the same. It's all together. So the self-employed thing right now, especially with COVID, with PPP loans and all that, if any of you out there are self-employed, it is a nightmare to get done. It's crazy. And so we have gone through every time they're like, okay, that's it. About 10 hours later, there's 52 more things that we need to turn in or give them or explain.
Yep. So I didn't tell you this, but the other day, when I had to, I don't remember which one it was, I had to send something else after all the stuff from last week that I had to get from my old employers and all that. Well, I had to send something, and I actually like typed it out and then I deleted it, but I had said, here you go. If you need me to go ahead and just send you every single nude photo I've taken as well, I can send that. I can attach that. But then I thought, maybe that might be too far. So I deleted it.
That is awesome.
I didn't want to embarrass you.
Yes, thank you.
So I just talked about it on the podcast instead.
So instead of actually doing it, I'll just talk to all the people that listen and tell them. It's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So long and behold, is that the
Lo
phrase?
and behold.
Lo and behold, it felt long because it's just taking forever.
Yes.
Lo and behold, we are 3 days away.
Knock on wood.
That's like imitation wood. I don't know what it's called. We're like 3 days away from actually closing. So we are crossing our fingers. And this house is super cool. Talk about how,
the house is
talk about
awesome. It's technically 3 stories. It's got, you walk in and the bottom floor is like a little den area, and that's where the laundry room is at. There's 1 bedroom down there, and then a little like coffee bar setup thing with a fireplace.
Yeah.
And
We're going to make
then-
that. So what are we going to make? We're going to make that like a,
it's gonna be like
music.
a loungy, like music studio type. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something
it'll be fun.
something cool. Sorry. And then the second floor, you go up the stairs into the second floor, and this is where it's like amazing. So you walk into the dining room, and there are windows. It's like, so the dining room extends into the 3rd floor, and it's like just a one huge wide open concept dining room.
Yep.
And there's windows there on that level, and then there's windows up above where that 3rd floor is.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll put a picture up.
It's so cool. But then you walk, so if you go through the dining room, you get to the kitchen, and then there's a wall that I think we're going to take out, but that leads into the living room. The living room is fully, there's windows on all 3 sides. Huge.
Yep.
It's on the golf course, and it overlooks the golf course. It's so cool. And then
Super cool.
if you go back into the dining room, that's where there's 2 bedrooms on that floor in a little hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another set of stairs that takes you up to the 3rd floor, which is the master bedroom. And this room is, I was looking at pictures today that we took when we went and walked through it, and it's got so much potential to be, it's going to be so cool.
It's one of those, like, there's a couple of rooms that are so big that you're like, why did they make us this big? It doesn't even make sense. Like, the living room has 2 fans in it because it's so big.
Yeah.
And the bathroom.
The bathroom.
The bathroom is about as we're in a condo right now, and the bathroom is about as big as this condo.
Oh yeah, it's like
ridiculous.
it's unnecessarily big.
Unnecessary.
But I think what I would like to do is take down the walls in that room and just, I think it could be so awesome.
Yeah. So it's, to be clear, this is like a 1974 something, like so much character in this house. It's right down the road from where we live now. We live in a gated community out in Granbury, and it's just right around the corner. But this house is super cool. Oh, this is pretty cool. We were outside when we were looking at the house for the first time, and we walked outside around back, and all of a sudden we hear these kids just laughing and playing, and we were like,
That was Rex.
That's her kids.
Yeah, it was It was my 3-year-old.
Yeah, so across the golf course and then across the street from that golf course, or from that house, is where her kids are at.
Yep,
half the time.
where
So,
their dad lives. So.
yeah, and so it was cool because we could just hear them right over there. And so anyway, it'll be a nice little trek back and forth, and
Yep.
that's been cool to have the relationship that we have with them, like with their dad and his lady friend.
Lady friend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been really nice.
It has been.
I don't know why I felt like I needed to say that, but I did.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. It's important for the kids, and makes life so much easier when you're not dealing with drama that, just, makes it better for everybody.
For sure. Sweet. Where you want to go now?
So we could talk about some things that happened over the week, that, like the Free Britney movement.
Oh, Free Britney.
I am so about that. I think so. The documentary on Hulu.
Hulu, yeah.
It's a New York Times episode, but it's called Framing Britney Spears. If you haven't watched it, you should. And it's really good. Anyways, I think from that, her dad is now
Something about the conservatorship.
he doesn't get to make all the decisions anymore. I think I don't really know. I mean, I know she's not completely, like, she wants to have her estate in the hands of a financial company or something, and it's been under the conservatorship of her dad. And
it's just been an ongoing drama.
yeah,
For those of
which
you who don't
I
know.
still, I still really question her, like, just her posts on Instagram.
They just always seem so weird.
It is weird. And I mean, when I go back and watch, like, videos and interviews of her when she was young, like in her prime, she just seems very down to earth and very sweet. And I mean, I don't know, but now it's like she's just weird. I
Yep.
mean, I still don't. It still does not explain her behavior on social media.
Yep. I'll never forget. I mean, like the first time I saw Britney Spears, I just thought she was like the hottest girl ever.
Oh my gosh, I was obsessed. I mean, idolized her.
Yep.
Like she was the first that my sister and I mean, that was one of our first CDs I think that we got.
Yeah, I think that's what messed her up. I think the fact that she was so idolized, like, I don't think people are meant to. They're
Well,
not.
and
People
she-
aren't meant to be that
she kind
that
of like
famous.
no, and she was so young, and I mean, I mean, I think it was just a lot
Yeah.
for her, and it's that documentary. It's sad. I mean, it's really sad for her because I think what breaks my heart the most is with that she lost her custody with her kids, and I just can't imagine.
That's crazy.
That is so heartbreaking because she seems like a really loving mom.
Yeah.
Very, I mean, if you go through her, so I've like creeped on her Instagram multiple times, but if you go back like to 2018 even, I mean, there's videos with her kid. It seemed like she had her kids all the time back then, and she was just seemed like a really fun mom, like intentional mom,
Yeah.
you know. And I know every mom makes mistakes. I mean, I think
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's like the gift and the curse of being a mom is you're going to screw your kids up somehow, but you get the opportunity to do that, you know?
Yep.
So
You get the opportunity to screw them up.
exactly. But it's hard, but I mean, I don't know. That just made me sad for her.
Yeah.
So
Well, she was always a great dancer, which I think last night you were inspired by her and
gosh.
started dancing. So last night here in the community we live in, there's a bar, there's a restaurant, all that, and so some of us went over there and we're just hanging out, having drinks, having food, and Autumn, fully sober, mind you.
was I?
I'm pretty sure at that point.
Which part are you talking about?
The table.
No, I was not.
Okay, well, she may have had one too many, or
I was not sober.
yeah. Well,
But that is something I would do sober. I mean,
yeah. If you're not watching on the YouTubes, Autumn's about $1.10, and a couple mimosas in, you just got to watch it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so there's this lazy Susan on the table, and I don't even know how it came up. Oh, did I say somebody said something about get up there and spin around or something?
yeah,
I don't know. So, Autumn, I think is the only one that could. Well, there's somebody else that could probably fit on that. But Autumn gets up on this lazy Susan and just sits down, and we just start spinning her around on the table.
I'm really surprised I didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, especially when
Usually
you kicked the drink over.
Yeah,
So
but usually when I do things like that, like
Yeah.
I get yelled at, or I've been kicked out of bars multiple times.
yeah,
I just something about alcohol makes me not afraid.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of why I don't like to really drink a lot.
Yeah, it's not good.
I'll do just about anything.
yeah.
I'm not
That
scared.
is not good. And
That is not good.
the conversation went all over the place. That is something we can't talk about.
No,
No.
no.
But Autumn decided to just let everyone in on some information on.
I was just
Things.
giving my input on
That's true.
topics, which I can now because I am married.
That is true. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of, like, well, they used to talk about it before when we weren't married, but I just didn't really,
Yeah. Well,
I
in case our children hear this one day, we'll just leave it at not talking. Can you imagine?
no.
So anyway, we'll move on from there. But that was.
But
fun.
I do want to have a podcast where I still stand by I want it to be normalized for
Oh yeah, for sure.
for girls, for women to be able to talk about that kind of stuff.
I
and
agree.
Share,
Yeah. Even in private settings where it feels so awkward.
like in the church would
Yeah.
be. I think that'd be great.
Yep.
And I'm sure anyone right now listening is cringing, but I don't care. I am tired of this Christian world, this Christian bubble where it's like, we can't talk about that because that's, in quotation, it's bad. You know, like it's not bad.
It's actually, yeah, if you read Song of Solomon, from back then when that was written,
Yeah.
that is scandalous. Like,
it is
big time.
And also, I mean, did we talk about this last time? Just how savage the Bible is, and
No, but it is.
because that's another thing is like, even in Genesis, like the Bible is so savage, talking
is.
about like the Nephilims having sex with the daughters of the men, and it talks about really crazy things. But then it's like at church, we all put on this front and act like everything, like it's just so fake, and I'm so tired.
Breathe.
I'm so tired of it.
Well, I think it's a cultural westernized thing that has happened to religion that, it's Americanized. It's all those things, like even just stories that, I do it every time. If I read a story about like Abraham and taking his son to go sacrifice him,
his
like
kid.
we
Yeah.
read through that like it's just a good old fashioned Bible story, like, oh, and then Abraham took Isaac and he was about to kill him, and then all of a sudden God said don't do it, and he just didn't. So then they went on about their life. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine what you would feel if like that was what you had to do?
But like, I'm just
or-
gonna be honest. I couldn't. I would be like, nope, sorry, God, you can just take me straight to hell. That's fine.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
I don't think
yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But so like things like that we, for 35 years I just read and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's the Abraham and Isaac story, and I just Isaac, I think that's right. Yeah.
And also, Mary getting pregnant as a virgin.
Yeah, we're just like,
if
oh.
someone today said, I would be like, no, ma'am.
No, you're actually on drugs, right?
You
right
are,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So the Bible it's crazy how Americanized. I don't know what else to call it, but how Americanized that we've made it.
Churchy, big C, churchy.
Yeah, churchy. There you go. It is. It's very like, we make it very safe, and the Bible's not safe at all.
No.
There's really nothing safe about it. And,
No. It's actually quite terrifying.
It is. It's terrifying, and then at the same time, it's like, thank you, God.
Thank God
Yeah.
that we have. Yeah, thank God for Jesus and
Yeah.
that all of it happened. But like,
But even that, I was reading yesterday. This was crazy. So we go to this thing called Regen on Monday nights, and it's basically a 12-step program for anything you're going through. There's like AA for alcoholics. Well, this is for anything. And so, we've been through a lot in the last few years, for sure, or our whole lives, either one. So going through this has been really good for us, but it's been crazy just reading some of the same things and like thinking through a different perspective than I ever have. And so yesterday I was reading one that was talking about Jesus coming down from heaven to be put in the form of man, to die on a cross for us and all that, to save the world basically. And what I had never ever thought about was, I've always thought about like when people say, well, why do you love Jesus? Like the little kid answers, well, because he died for me. Well, I think after reading yesterday, I wonder if the bigger sacrifice was actually him leaving heaven. Like not him dying, like that was inevitable, like, but like having to leave the throne, like literally, like there is no made it because he's always been, but like I'm thinking about like a king, like someone who's like a king over a palace, over this whole thing is like, I have made it to king. I am king here. And then being like, okay, I'm going to go sell bread at the market
Right.
and then knowing I'm going to have to go die. Like that, man, having to leave the throne is like, that is insane. That's just insane
That
to
is
me.
insane.
So anyway, that was pretty cool. I've always thought about like, Jesus died for my sins. So that's how much he loved me. No, he left heaven. That's
Are you
how much
talking
he loved
about
me.
where it says that he was like he created the heavens and the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of raised some questions. I don't know if we want to go. Do we want to go there or?
Maybe we can save that for one on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the time we got.
Okay.
Unless you want to, go for it.
Well, I was reading, so I'm 30 years old and I just realized that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that it's like the same stories repeated, just told in different fashions.
Yeah,
Because
different perspectives.
remember the verse that that I was like dying about the other night where it said 2 women were grinding together and then one disappeared?
Guys,
Talking
this
about
is
the end times.
This is what I love about Autumn is, she literally is making things so real for me. Like I can't, we can't even read the Bible without her being like, babe, there's 2 girls grinding in the Bible. Like, I don't think the word grinding was a word back then.
What does this mean? But then if you read that in the other books, and I think it's Luke maybe, where it says where they don't put the grinding, the mill.
Yep.
You know, they leave that one word out.
Right.
So you're like, wait, what the heck does
that
this
word
mean?
means something completely different in 2021.
Yes. And so, so anyways, in the other books, it says 2 women grinding the mill together, and then one will disappear. Because it's talking about when Jesus comes back to take everybody that is, one of his. And so, that just threw me off. But I forgot where I was going with
you're talking about how you're 30 years old.
I just
raised
realized
some questions.
Yeah, well, So the question I had was, there is a verse where it talks about after Jesus leaves, like how I'll have to look it up and we'll have to talk about it next time because there's where it talks about like Jesus was, because I know Jesus is God in the form of a human. But I got confused. Yeah. And so, you know me, like if I have any questions, I will spend hours.
So, but that's what I love about you though. Like, I think this is all part of why we're even doing this podcast. It's I have for so long, I know enough about, for those of y'all who maybe don't know me or this is the first time listening, I've been a pastor for 15 years. I'm an ordained minister. And for so long, I knew just enough to be dangerous, not really dangerous, but like just enough to be like, yeah, I know the Bible. But the questions that Autumn asks all the time, I'm like, I don't know. It almost makes me mad because I don't know the answer, and and I feel like I should, and I'm just like, I don't know the answer.
Well, and that's where I think it's like the churchy culture again. I mean, I think we're taught kind of like, well, because my pastor says this, then I'm just going to go off what he says. I'm not going to actually. I'm all about like thinking for yourself. Yeah. Like I want to I don't care who tells me. I don't care if it's, I'm trying to think of someone that I really think is like, but I can't. I almost said Donald Trump.
Craig Rochelle. You look up Craig Rochelle.
Yes, Craig Rochelle. So pastor of Life Church. Yes. Yep. Like I don't, even if he says it, I'm still going to go do my own due
diligence. Yep. That one.
And because I need to absorb it in my own spirit.
Well, that's what you're teaching me, because I've always loved God. I've always loved the Lord. I've always been there. But when something really hard came, I didn't question. I didn't like question my faith. Well, I guess I did question my faith. Actually, yeah, I did. But it wasn't like, is God real? It was more like okay, all my identity was wrapped up in being a pastor, being married, being this church leader.
It was wrapped up in just like not who you actually are. It was more you identified with
a role.
I'm this person.
Yep, for sure. So this is like actually causing me to find my identity in the Lord by asking the next question. Like, okay, well, why is that though? Like, why? Asking that why question. I used to think that people who asked why when they would read the Bible didn't have enough faith. Well, and so it's like, well, you don't have faith because you're asking why. When really it's like, I don't know the answer and you're asking why, so it's making me uncomfortable. So I'm just going to say that you don't have enough faith. Because I have enough faith to believe it, even though it doesn't make sense, And so anyway, and faith is a big part of faith, obviously. But it's not bad to ask why. It's not bad
The Bible encourages that. Yeah. Encourages to question everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what's really cool.
Question everything and discern. That's why discernment is so important. Yep. And I think that's something that recently I've been it's discernment. Where and being able to see where people come from, why they believe, why certain people believe certain things, and their perspective, trying to understand from their shoes, this is probably why this person interprets X, Y, and Z to be that, but is that actually what it is? Even if it's not the answer that I necessarily want it to be, you know? So.
Yeah, it is, it's just been really cool to learn that. This is the whole thing we're going through in Regen right now. We're on the step 3, which is the trust step. And last week I was kind of like, oh, okay, these are kind of word and word answers. This week I'm a little different. I'm like, oh crap, I don't know. It's a good question. Mm-hmm. And so I'm writing down like things that I trust about God that I struggled for my whole life, and I still do with performance, like performance of for people, but that's definitely going to travel into performance with God. And so I think I just go throughout my days, go throughout my life, going, okay, if I do this well, then I'm a good Christian. I mean, this is why I got to where I was in life. I think with a lot of things was because I just take the bar. I mean, for me to even say I went to a bar last night, that would have never have come out of my mouth at all, because not because of any other reason, but because I thought people who go to bars on Saturday nights are bad people. Like that's just the real, unfortunately, like where I was. And then, I mean, even just drinking, period. Like I didn't drink hardly at all until, the last few years, I guess. But I know it's not like I get wasted every night or anything like that.
But who cares if you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do, but...
Well, but I'm saying...
Yeah.
Basically, I'm saying I don't care what other people think about that.
Yeah,
basically.
It doesn't make you... It doesn't...
And I really dislike the good person and the bad. Like, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I just think no one... that's not for any of us to determine. I mean... And what I love about Jesus is that he says that it's not acts... Like, it's not our acts that get us to heaven, it's faith,
right.
and by accepting his grace. And
yeah.
so that's why, just the whole stigma of like that she's not a good person or, whatever. I just don't.
Yeah. And that's the part in the trust that we're talking about right now, like that really caught me the most is like not, one of the questions was, what do you compare your standard to? And for me, I wrote down other people. It's always been other people, because I can walk into a room and be one of the good people.
Yeah.
That was in quotes for those of you who are not watching YouTube. I can be one of the good people, but and most of the time I can probably be one of the best people. Like I can walk in and be like, okay, I haven't cussed in 72 days. I haven't drank in 14 years. I can be that guy, or used to. And then the thing was like, that is what I thought made me close to God. And then through this past year, just through different circumstances, I realized that's actually not it. That's actually what the real bad people, the Pharisees, like the people who actually killed Jesus, that's their line of thinking. Their line of thinking is, I follow the rules, I'm good, I'm better than other people, therefore I'm more right with God. And unfortunately, like that's what I did with my life for a long time, and it got me to where I am now. And so now I'm just learning the balance of the two. Like I don't want to be like, well, I'm not going to follow any rules because I followed the rules for so long. Like there's obviously, there's what God says and what he wants us to do. And there's sin and that we have in our lives, and then there's forgiveness, and there's just the whole thing. And so like, that's part of where like my journey is right now, is literally just being okay with, I'm going to screw up sometimes, and it's okay to admit it,
Yep. And the last thing I want to say is, based off what you said, like being close to God, Psalm 34:18, where it says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. And it's the broken ones that Jesus came for, not the good ones, you know?
Yep.
And Jesus says that. He says that in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He didn't come for the guys that are good. He came for the ones that are real screwed up and broken. So
what's awesome about that verse? That was the first, when I went through the divorce, that was the first verse that I like put on my phone as a background, because I was just like, I'm freaking broken and I don't know what else to do, and like I need you. Like for the first time, it was like a legit, because I got saved when I was 8, and it was kind of like one of those like, yeah, I need Jesus, like I love Jesus, and he died for me, and this is all good. And I think it was authentic, but this was like the first time it was like, no, God, like I am done. Like I don't know what else to do. I don't even literally know how to wake up in the morning. So it's, yeah.
And it also, remember the sermon that Pastor Craig did with Mr. Rogers' movie?
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget when Mr. Rogers goes in and talks to that guy's dad, and he whispers something to him before they leave. And when they get outside, the son says, what did you say to my dad? And he said, well, God is closest to the ones that are, broken and sick, And so I told him because I felt like what I needed God to hear, he might hear it quicker going through him.
Yeah, that's so good. So good. I love that scripture. It helps me, I don't know, almost like bring me back to reality sometimes when I get too uppity about myself or something. And just reminds me to kind of stay in that state of like, I need Jesus no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter if things feel like I'm on top of the world or if bottom of the pit, because I've been in both now.
Yep.
I need him for sure.
Yes. Okay.
Boom. What else? Anything else?
I don't think so.
No. All right. Well, guys, we really appreciate you listening. Hope this spoke to you. Oh, for those of you that are out there that are probably like I would be if I were listening to this, I would be judging the crap out of this. Like I really would be. And that's okay. So like, here's where we're at. Like we are in a place where we know we're not perfect by any means. Like, I'm sure there's things that hurt this
In fact, I actually suck. So there's that.
There's things you probably heard this podcast that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that or they did that or whatever. But that's okay. Like we're okay with that, and we want you to just really think about it like in your own life, like really evaluate yourself. Like evaluate like, do I think I'm better than? Do I think I don't have sin? Do I think that like those sins that they talk about? I mean, we talked about drinking. We talked about not being sober. We talked about sex before marriage.
Yep.
We talked about a lot of things, and so like. It's not a point of like, are we scared? My music ended there. Are we like, oh my gosh, they're so bad? It's really more just like, hey, we all screw up. We all have these moments. So just evaluate for yourself, see where you're at.
And don't be afraid to be authentic. Just be yourself and own this. There's so many things that I've had going through a region. I've had to like actually admit to myself, and I'm still going through it. I'm still going through it, but.
Life's a journey. We're always trying to figure it out.
No, we don't. So, okay, everybody, thank you for listening.
We'll catch y'all next time.